I know East Asians love. They love Pirates of the Caribbean. Maybe it was marketed wrong.
Yeah.
Put Sebastian in the forefront. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
They were just like, dude, I'm hungry. They thought this was a fucking Netflix food documentary. Chef's table.
I just thought it was like a mukbang.
Yeah.
Seafood.
Oh, this mukbang's a little. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. Back with my reoccurring co-host, Ed Park VP, my friends. Last week,
guys?
Well, it was 2 weeks before this, I did a solo podcast because I fucking forgot. I miscalculated the amount of time that I was gone and like how many episodes I had in the bag left. And so literally the day before, I just was like, okay, I'm just going to talk to the camera by myself for half an hour. And that was hard, dude.
Would you have pulled something else out of the bag? Like, here's a podcast from 6 months ago I didn't release.
There's a few, but I can't release those ones.
Yeah.
There's like, there's the one with, I still had the podcast with that one porn star that tried to fucking, blackmail me and shit. You want to hear something fucking funny? So that girl, she met somebody that we mutually know, right? And he came up to me. He was like, hey, do you know this girl? I'm like, who? But I don't actually know her name. Like,
right. You didn't know her real name?
Yeah, I didn't know her fucking real name. And I'm forgetting what her alias is because we never got that far into the podcast before she started breaking down and crying about having like a manic depressive episode. And I already told him about this girl specifically in the past when it happened because I was just pissed, right? Because of what she was trying to do. It was fucking terrible, terrible human being. And so he's like laughing and he goes, do you know what she said to me? She goes, oh, I was like, I'm not sure if you know who I am, but I know your friend, David So. And then he's like, oh, how do you know him? He's like, oh, he's mean. He made me cry. That's what she said. He's a meanie. He made me cry. I'm like, you fucking bitch. You psychotic bitch. I could literally I could release that shit and ruin your whole fucking life. Try to blackmail me.
Did I make you cry or did you have an episode?
Exactly. It was the weird, when he mentioned her, but I don't remember what her name was, but I remember I started sweating.
Right.
Because that was one of the most, probably, I'd say like in entertainment wise, the most traumatizing experience ever. Especially because at the time, the Me Too movement was so strong. Even if that, and I had all the evidence out, people still wouldn't have cared at that time because people were so crazy, right? And
so she was ready to falsely Me Too you?
Well, she was trying to do it, but then obviously she messaged all my close friends or whatever, right, in the entertainment space. And she started spinning this whole narrative and they all just blocked her. Because, we're all close. They're like, no way, David. Like, David, out of all people, please block.
Right.
And they messaged me and they told me, I was like, hey, do you know this girl? Like, she's saying crazy shit. I was like, bro. And I showed them the clip of her, like, the crazy stuff. And so I have it saved in a hard drive just in case. Just
you need
in
a
fucking
lawyer
case.
up.
Exactly.
You need evidence.
Because I have cold, hard evidence of that shit. And then if you guys remember the podcast even after this whole thing, and I said, hey, you know what? Like, this is not cool or whatever. I forgot what the conversation was. And then she goes, hey, let's run it back and let's do another podcast.
I promise I won't try to extort you.
Yeah, like, and then her other friend was like, yeah, it's okay. I specifically remember her saying this. She goes, yeah, don't worry about it. This time it's going to be so much better because I'm all about my money.
Oh, gosh.
What the fuck are you talking
What are you
about?
selling?
Yeah. What are you saying, you fucking crazy person?
You're going to be like, oh, she's on the grind? All right, let's do this.
Grind time.
She's an independent woman? All right, let's do it.
It was probably one of the weirdest experiences ever, man. But dude, when I was like in Japan, like the only sense of like social media I had, like I feel like there's like this obligation that I do some social media here and there.
Yeah.
I just like tweeted a few things, just random fucking thoughts, because I literally don't care anymore. Like there's no need for political correctness. I don't know where this personal career of mine is gonna go.
Yeah.
I have this podcast, I enjoy it. But there's this guy that popped up on my feed. And I went into a little dive. I was like, oh, this guy does like food reviews. Let me see. And I didn't like his food reviews at all. But then he put out this video saying that I went to LA and LA has no good food whatsoever.
Yikes.
As a food critic. Right?
Yikes.
I was like, what? I was like, is this a fucking joke? And so I kind of tweeted, I was like, hey, this guy, and he's a nice dude, by the way. I actually don't dislike him at all. There's nothing to dislike about anybody who does food reviews, right? You just disagree with what they do because their job is to critique things and give an opinion. So I feel like it's completely okay for me to give
a rebuttal,
like a rebuttal or opinion about the stuff that he does, right? Because essentially, essentially that's what he does for a living, right? So it's completely fine. And I tweeted, I was like, yeah, I don't think I really like this guy's food reviews. It's basic as fuck. You know, he's very particular only about the food that he likes. And he also said there's no good food in LA, which is ridiculous for a food critic.
Yeah.
Right. And like a majority of people agree, but there's a small set that like, this is an L take. You don't even know him, blah, blah. He goes, he's just giving his opinion. I'm like, yeah, that's what he's supposed to do as a food critic.
Yeah.
Give his opinion. And then I, as a person outside who watches his content, also give my opinion.
So what's the need to have to defend a critic?
I don't understand.
Yeah, it's like you're not like stopping him from giving his
Exactly.
opinion.
I didn't say he was a bad person. It's not anything like that. I just I disagree with his stuff. But then what I found out was this. He blew up because he shed light onto like a failing business, and then they blew up and they got to basically get a leg up again because of him. So he has like this positive aura about him, right? I wasn't a part of that fucking wave.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so the other people who agree with me, they don't know about this backstory. So people kind of fell in love with him because of this philanthropy that he was a part of.
Right.
Right. I just know him for just food reviews and food critiques, which I'm pretty sure that's what he wants. You know what I mean? And so when I was trying to figure out, like, am I saying something super out of pocket? And then a fan explained to me, I was like, oh, he blew up because he did this super positive thing.
Oh, so he's on a pedestal.
Anybody who critiques him, they're just going to come after you. Right. So it doesn't matter. It's like most people agree with this, but they just won't say it.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I see what it is. Like, I get it 100%. You know what I mean? And then somebody responded back to me. They go like, how could you fucking attack him? Like, attack him? I wasn't attacking him. I was just giving you my opinion about his food reviews, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, people just look at, these celebrities or whoever the fuck they are on this two-dimensional space in the palm of their hand, and they fucking worship them.
Yeah.
It's like, can you guys not?
Dude, the funniest thing this person wrote, they're like, how can you bully him? Like, he's on the spectrum. And I was like, hey, guess what? Surprise, bitch, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Supposed to know.
Spectrum versus spectrum. Who got the best Wi-Fi? Let's go. It's a spectrum battle. Let's go. You better defend the fuck out of me too.
Man.
I'm high on the spectrum, motherfucker.
Yeah, different takes. Yeah. Different waves, bro.
That's what we should do. Yeah. Food reviews. Who's the two guys on the spectrum? Because I like the guy. I was like, oh, he's like really very soft-spoken and really kind. I was just like, yeah, I just don't like his food reviews. Like, I just don't think they offer anything. Right. But I found out too, Kevin Lee from the UFC?
Yeah.
That's his brother.
Oh, okay. So his brother does food reviews?
Yeah, his brother does food reviews.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was like, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. And I wasn't making an opinion about him as a person. I just wrote like a little comment like that.
You can't say just a blanketed statement like LA has no good food.
For me, it was shocking as somebody who I thought was a food critic, like a self-proclaimed food critic, to come to Los Angeles and say there's absolutely no good food here, right? Which is insane. And I say that as somebody, I'm not from Los Angeles.
Right.
Because what are the other comments? Oh, everybody who's upset is from Los Angeles. No, I'm not from LA. I'm just saying, like, anybody who enjoys good food, people around the world go to Los Angeles to eat food. Around the world.
Yeah.
What in the God fucking name are you talking about? LA has no good food. Like I said, that's his opinion. That's perfectly fine. I'm just saying, for a food critic to say that blew my mind. You know, so I'm like, oh, that doesn't make sense to me.
That's kind of like how, okay, this is a messed up situation. So Chef Roy Choi, he had this restaurant open up in South Central LA, like in the hood, and he'd hire the kids in the neighborhood to learn how to work and how to get a job and how to make a resume. It was just a neighborhood project. It was doing good things. This guy from the New York Times got on a fucking airplane, flew to LA, got a ride down to his restaurant, South Central LA, ate the food, wrote the shittiest review ever. He said, this food is fucking terrible. Got back on an airplane. He's back in New York.
God damn.
And the New York Times published this article shitting on Chef Roy Choi's food. Now, here we go. I'm not a fan of his food as a person who's tried out many of his different establishments. But then it's like the the fact that it's a project, like this entrepreneurial project, this neighborhood like project to help people, and then he just tells everybody in the whole world, "Hey, this food fucking sucks." And everyone took a shit on that food critic. Like, dog, is that what you're supposed to do as a food critic?
Yeah. It's like, okay,
holy shit.
That's like you going to the homeless shelter. You know what I'm saying? People are passing out the food. He goes to the homeless. He goes down to Skid Row, right? Yeah. He goes there. He goes to the
takes a plate.
That's a styrofoam plate. He fucking spits it, throws it on the floor. Writes his New York Times review for the soup kitchen in fucking downtown LA.
Oh my gosh!
But I feel like that's how people were treating me. I was like, oh,
it's like, dude. He's on another level of Yelp reviewers.
Yeah.
It's like, dog.
That's actually pretty funny. I would love for somebody to just do food reviews of soup kitchens.
Soup kitchens.
That would be fucking hilarious.
Hey, send Foods episode out of
dog. If there's
I dare you to pitch that, dude.
If there's an asshole out there that wants to do fucking food reviews of soup kitchens, you should fucking do it. I don't have the heart to do it, but if you're fucking like on the spectrum enough to do it, then fucking God be with you, dude.
Oh god,
that's what I felt like people were mad at me about. So I really had to do a deep dive. I'm like, did I say something crazy here? Right. Yeah. And it was because of that one thing that he did that people have an emotional tie to him. But then, dog, I got a couple of messages where people were saying like, hey, this is an L take. And then I got DMs after saying like, I actually agree with you, but we can't say that. Right. So I was like, oh, I'm not crazy. So there has to be. So thank God a fan explained it to me. So I'm like, okay, I get it.
Is this the activist side of the woke culture on Twitter then?
I don't know what,
because it has nothing to do with, let's say, wokeness. But then he is doing a good philanthropic thing, right? It's not like you're shitting on that.
And I think it's that in part with him being open about him being on the spectrum, which is so unfair because so am I. Okay. But how come you guys are crapping on me? I may look all put together, but trust me, bro, it's a struggle every day.
Hey, well, yeah, we come in different shapes and sizes, man.
So I was kind of like taken aback a little bit by it because I didn't understand. But people have to understand that after that video, there was new people that came to see him, and they don't know about that stuff. They're just seeing the food critiques, and they're just like, "Oh, this is all the same shit," and that's all that it is. And
ooh, okay.
Weird, right? And I would love for him to come to LA, and I would love to personally take him around to Los Angeles. We're talking about Los Angeles. I'm not talking about fancy restaurants. Fancy restaurants, no matter where you go, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
They get the best ingredients. They have the best chefs, some of the greatest minds, right? But we're talking about Los Angeles, just like every other place too, that's in a small town, has great hole in the walls and have been institutions for here for like 60, 70 years.
100 years?
100 years even, right? Yeah. You go to Little Tokyo, you go out to like East LA. Let's talk about the Mexican food alone.
Yeah.
You know,
let's El Cholo spot in K-Town. Yeah. Established 1920, dude.
Crazy.
It's still there.
Exactly. You can go to Koreatown. Let's talk about Korean food. Yeah. But these are the type of foods that I guarantee that he would eat and he'd be like, this isn't good. Because once again, like the response that I got for the people who didn't like what I said was, he's just saying his opinion. I'm like, that's literally the dumbest response. Because of course he's just saying his opinion. He's a food critic. What are you talking about? Like, it's redundant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like I watched
you're not supposed to critique a critiquer.
Or you're not supposed to feel a certain way about what somebody does for a living, even though his job is essentially what I'm doing.
Okay, ask the same people this. Like, Get Out, 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. I was so curious. I read that 1% guy that wrote that negative review, and it's another black dude, right? And he called it he called Get Out a basically runaway whitey movie for white people to be scared of black people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then you look into this guy and he's like, he's a black Republican nationalist, very right-wing guy. And he just writes these contrarian reviews. And so that was the only reason why.
Ridiculous.
He didn't get 100%, right?
That's hilarious.
Tell those same people that, hey, you can't be mad at that. That's just his opinion, bro.
Yeah,
right? Exactly. Even though this guy clearly has a fucking motive. And he shit on something.
100%. And by the way, like I said, I actually like him because like the way he does his video is super calm. And so I like the vibe of his videos. I just don't like his food reviews that much.
Do you feel like the way you're responding to him, people feel, and it's like a level of empathy, like you might make him melt down?
I feel like they feel like I'm punching down or something.
Right.
But then I saw his page. He has way more followers than me. I'm punching up.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I'm punching the fuck up. He's popping, dude. He is popping.
Yeah, you're the one with social Asperger's.
Yeah, where's my sympathy?
I mean, social media.
Yeah.
Look at that number.
With all the social media responsibility. No. But yeah, like I would love for him to come to Los Angeles and for me to just get around a bunch of my chef buddies. And I know a lot of people who have hole in the wall spots and just show them like Los Angeles. And the places that he ate at were like chains. I'm like, dog, this is what I mean.
It's like, I went to Dave and Buster's. That shit wasn't
That's
shit.
like me going to Jersey and going like, dude, this fucking Jersey Mike's, bro.
Yeah.
So, give it a fair shake first.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's no animosity, whatever. I like the dude a lot. I just want him to come here on me. And I'll take you to great hole-in-the-wall spots. It's just you. And also, too, by the way, like if he is from New Jersey, I don't know. I've gone to New Jersey multiple times. I have family out there. I Googled, what is New Jersey known for food? The Google search came back, New Jersey is not known for good food.
That's what Google said.
That is what Google said.
Maybe you should ask Bing.
Yeah.
See what they say.
Then it said that the diners is where Jersey is where diners were created after that. But that was it. So even Google search is roasting Jersey.
Right.
So I don't want to hear any slanderous talk about Los Angeles food scene because I do believe it's amazing here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
New York, Chicago, Houston, and anywhere that you go, the food scene is going to be pretty good if you can find it. Because South Carolina, North Carolina, they kind of might be, where I went was kind of in the boonies, but there was always a dope ass fucking barbecue spot, a rib spot, and honestly outbeat 80% of the barbecue spots out in California, but everything around it wasn't that great. There's always something from where you go, but to say that Los Angeles has no good food whatsoever, in my eyes made me go, oh, I don't need to look at your food reviews, And I think that's what it was for a lot of people who saw him after the heartstring content that he made. Like I said, like the dude a lot. I would love for him. Kieth, if you ever see this, most likely you're probably not. You're way above me. But I would love to take you around Los Angeles and show you some good fucking food. Food that you like. Not even the food that you probably will think is gross. I'm talking about the food that you generally like. I'll take you to spots out here and you'll fucking love it. Jesus Christ, man.
So Japan, though.
Yeah.
How was the food out there then? What was it? What was this trip for?
Japan was like a honeymoon trip.
Okay.
But Japan was super cool. Like this is my third time going, right? And I think I might bring Mariel on here to talk about how to travel to Japan in the most comfortable way, right? Because she handled everything.
Yeah.
She is the spreadsheet person. She's the person that organizes everything from head to toe because obviously I can't get my shit together at all. There are a few things that this time around, like because I've been there so many times now, I got to see it with a less biased perspective, right? In terms of the first time I went there, I was so amazed by everything. And same thing with the second time. Right. This time I was there for 2 weeks. It was a little bit too long for me. And I got to see things for what it is. So one of the things that I noticed in Japan is like everybody who is making content in Japan that's from the United States, UK, wherever the fuck that they're at, they are literally going to the same list that everybody is blogging about and then putting into their Instagram reel.
Shibuya, Shinjuku, and that's it. That's
yeah, Akihabara, whatever, right? And all the food spots that they're showing is just the same things over and over and over again. And I'm like, when I went there was like, I looked at these lists that had the same places. I'm talking about 6 or 7 websites. So it's the same bloggers that looked at somebody else's blog and they repeated it. So I went to like maybe me and Mariel went to maybe about 3 of them. and they were terrible. The coffee spots that they showed us was terrible. The food spots, I ate it. I'm like, this is like the most basic version of this in Japan. And mind you, we've been to Japan multiple times. Muriel lived in Japan. So we were kind of shocked, like, why is this here on the list? And what it is that, number one, they can't speak the language.
Right.
The people who are making the list, they're obviously not locals. This is their first time going to Japan, and they just copy what somebody else did on the blog.
Right.
So I was very disappointed. And it's just like the social media age, right? They just have to make content.
Right.
So when they say this stuff, they go, oh, this is like the best ramen in Japan. How do you know? You Japanese?
Yeah.
How the fuck? Tokyo has so many restaurants, it's unreal.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, it's such a compact space. Every other store is a fucking restaurant. How do you know?
Yeah.
Impossible. So what we did is that we asked friends, and then pro tip, by the way, if you guys do go to Japan and you want to find good food that locals know, Google the word in Japanese.
Right.
And then the Japanese Google searches will come up. And you think fucking American Yelpers are vicious? Japanese Yelpers are fucking vicious.
Right.
Like every tonkatsu spot that I was looking up, 3 stars, 2.5 stars, 3.9, 3.8. I'm like, damn, do all of these suck?
So there's just no way anybody can have
There
5
was
stars.
no 4 or 5 star at all.
Right. It's just dead honesty.
Dead honesty. And I don't know what their standard is, but I ate at those 3-star restaurants and they were delicious. I was like, this is fucking fantastic.
And that's how you get around in Japan. Then you look for the
100%.
But then it's got to have like 5,000 reviews on it. Like a lot of people.
They don't review a lot either. So like
Right.
I would say a restaurant with a lot of reviews is like 200 reviews.
Okay.
So they don't really have that review culture. I think
Right.
that's a very Western thing. They go in, they eat their food. If they like it, they'll come back.
Mhm.
That's about it. They don't really need to openly place their opinion about restaurants like that,
Yeah.
which makes it a little more difficult for people like us when we travel to find good places to eat. The best stuff that I ate there was stuff we found off of Google,
Mm.
right? And then I'm like, I should write about this. I forgot. Like, I don't know where it's at.
Yeah.
I forgot where it was. I don't know how to get back there. I ate there and I was like, this is the most delicious thing I ever ate. And I turned around and I was in a different part of Japan. So everybody was asking like, hey, what restaurant I was at? I go, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I didn't go off these lists that you guys did.
Right.
So the best way to explore Japan is just to go. And if you see like a line with a bunch of salarymen there, it's probably going to be really good.
Right.
If you see there with a lot of like foreigners, it's probably not that good.
Right.
Here's a great example. Tsukiji fish market, right? Very famous. Everybody goes there. It is the biggest tourist trap ever. And I just see a bunch of fucking people from the US just like, this is the best food ever. It's probably not all of them. It's better than stuff that you'll get in most places in the United States.
Yeah.
But they figured out that it's now Instagram famous. They hijacked the prices like 5-6x.
Oh my gosh.
Ridiculous price. I was shocked.
So you walk in and you don't actually see any locals. There's no actual Japanese people.
Rarely.
Right.
Like it's all foreigners there. And the only people that are locals there are like, honestly, maybe I would say like 15%.
Right.
And they jacked up all the prices. People are eating everything. And and literally down the street, there's a place serving it for like 4 times less the price. And they don't know because they go, this is the best food experience. If you've never been to Japan, I think you should go there. But if you already went there once, you don't need to go there again.
Right. Right.
It's kind of sad.
No, man, like that. I think I have like an anti version of that story. You remember Sonongdang?
Yeah.
Right. So they copied Mr. Possum and they had spicy galbichim.
Yeah.
And
With
they
the
put
cheese.
mozzarella and then they set it on fire, right? Well, it fucking blew up the one next to Cafe Blue, right? It was just packed. But then noticeably it's packed with a lot of international Chinese students, right? And then I guess their business did so well, they opened a second restaurant on Western. And it used to be a Sizzlers. So square footage is huge.
Yeah.
So that's their second Songnongdang, right? Now, here's the weirdest part about it. The customers segregated themselves.
Really?
So the one on 6th is where all the Chinese people go to, and the one on Western is where all the Koreans go to.
The dirty Chinese.
What the hell did we do?
Dude,
It just split up and they segregated themselves. It's
That's
the
so
same
fat.
exact food though. That's why I wonder if the prices are the same.
that's hilarious. They just did it on their own.
Yeah. They opened 2 locations and then the customers were just like, we'll go here.
And you guys stay
go
here.
there. Yeah.
That kind
Weird.
of, I mean, we should probably talk about this. Now, just to preface this, I didn't watch The Little Mermaid,
Uh-huh.
right? You didn't watch it either, right?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it.
Okay, so, and I want to say this. We've been asked to do a review of The Little Mermaid, and I just can't get myself to watch it because I'm racist. No, I'm kidding. No, no. The reason why is because I don't like any live action reiterations of 2D animated films.
Yeah.
Unless it goes straight on demand.
We're not jumping out of our seats over the animated version anyway. Right?
Exactly.
The 1988 version, like we don't give a shit about that.
I
anymore.
never had an attachment to The Little Mermaid in the first
Yeah.
place. So most likely, why would I watch the live action version of it?
So I went to go see Beauty and the Beast with my sister.
Oh my God.
Right.
I went to watch that with Mariel.
And Emma Watson can't sing,
Dude,
right? Why did they cast her?
bro.
Right? Yeah, and so we leave the fucking theater and I'm clowning it for all those reasons. And my sister got just fucking mad. Like,
She
why are
loved it.
you shitting on this shit? Like, because she grew up loving Beauty and the Beast.
So did I.
But not that way. I understand why she was mad at me, but like I guess I had to see like I didn't feel that way about it, so I was shitting on it that way. So the ultimate end of the day thing was just like, then I don't feel like watching Little Mermaid because I didn't care about the original one either.
Well, because we're only going to see it for what it is,
Yeah.
right? And I started looking at some of reading some of the critic reviews, which I rarely do before I actually watch the film. But I just know I'm not going to see it. I didn't like Beauty and the Beast. I watched maybe 15 minutes of The Lion King. I thought it was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Aladdin was not good.
Aladdin was whack.
It was such a disappointment.
Like we saw the other ones, and it's like you haven't proven anything to
Exactly.
us about these live
I
action
looked at the CG animation in the trailer for Little Mermaid, and it was not good. And by the way, this is a movie set in the ocean after Avatar.
right.
How are we going to watch this and enjoy this? Watching a crab with a Jamaican accent, that's an actual crab
It's just disgusting to look at.
with no emotion in his face. These 2 little flappers. Yeah, man. Ariel. Like, yo, I don't feel this.
That's the same with the problem with The Lion King was that they didn't give these animals eyebrows.
Yeah.
Or
No emotions.
lips, so they had no emotions to
Emotion is so
emote. Yeah.
weird.
So the animals were talking, but then their faces weren't showing anything out of it.
Like these 2D animated films with real creatures are always going to look weird,
Yeah.
right? This is, by the way, an opinion of an adult watching this. I think when kids watch it, it's going to be a different feel, right? Especially if they didn't grow up watching the 2D animated film. I think for kids, it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
They can watch it and they'll enjoy it. But I'm talking about for the older adult audience that was already introduced to it as a 2D animated.
Right.
And I go and I watch that and I'm like, this is kind of rough. Like I just don't have any interest in it.
We felt the same way with Mulan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mulan was another bust.
I mean, all of them. I mean, I think it's because The Jungle Book did so well.
Oh,
you
that's
know?
right.
Half of these killed it in the box office, despite the quality of what they are. They did
Nostalgia.
make a lot of money. Yeah. So you can think, I don't know, this current generation who just loves the shit from 20, 30 years ago, just want to see a better version of it. Maybe that's all George Lucas's fault because he like redid the special effects of Star Wars.
Oh
So
yeah,
now
yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
hey,
yeah.
redo this too, redo
Yeah,
that
yeah,
too. So maybe we're asking for it.
There was a lot of backlash because apparently it tanked in South Korea and also China, right?
Yeah.
And now there's a bunch of people kind of digging up on the internet of a lot of racism, like colorism,
Yeah.
like in Asia,
Yeah.
saying like Asian people hate black people.
Right.
And, this obviously is in reflection that people start to kind of mix two things together where they now look at Asian Americans like, this is your people. I'm like, no, buddy. Me American.
Yeah. It's the same way like white people will protest eating dog in Chinatown, America.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
What the fuck?
I don't understand why that happens to Asian people so much. Like we are Asian Americans.
We're different. Yeah.
We're very, very different. And that's the weird part about being Asian American. We don't actually belong fucking anywhere. We're not Asian enough over there and we're not American enough here. And so we're just like these people without a fucking land. And by the way, dude, like some Korean people said some horrendous shit. They brought up this old picture of Halle Bailey and I think it was a Blackpink member. And it was these comments from like Korean netizens. And you don't know how old these people are. They could be in their 40s, their 50s or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were saying some crazy racist shit to Halle.
Yeah.
If you stay next to her for too long, that dark skin might rub off on you. Like some horrendous shit. That shit was terrible. And so, they take these little excerpts and they go, this is all of your people. I'm like, hold on a second. And so they see like the box, it took a box office hit in South Korea, right? It didn't do that well, which for them, it begs the question, like if this was a white Little Mermaid, would it have done better? Maybe.
But then the other question you could ask would be, with the context of the Little Mermaid story, the original one, the 88 animation, or even the original Germanic story or whatever, do Eastern Asian people even have any context about what this fucking story is about?
I don't know.
Which should they care?
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
You know what I know East Asians love? They love Pirates of the Caribbean. Maybe it was marketed wrong.
Yeah.
Put Sebastian in the forefront. I don't know.
They were just like, dude, I'm hungry. They thought this was a fucking Netflix food documentary. Chef's table.
I just thought it was like a mukbang.
Yeah.
Seafood.
Oh, this mukbang's a little weird. They're like, when are they going to fucking eat this crab?
Oh, God. But it just goes along with the story. It's like, you always have to ask, like, who is this movie for? Right?
Yeah.
And then you just, at the end of the day, it's for kids. And it's for us, it's easy for us to look at The Little Mermaid and just completely always compare it to that. But then you look at the way we reviewed Mulan, we reviewed it for what it is. We didn't say a goddamn thing about the animated one. Right? We didn't say a goddamn thing about Mushu.
We're not comparing it to that.
We were just talking about look at this for what it is as it is, right? And for what Little Mermaid is, it's for kids.
Yeah.
So at the same time, if you didn't stress about it, nothing would change in your life.
Yeah.
As much as you stressing about it,
100%.
Nothing is happening in your life either.
When I saw kind of, just the trailer for The Little Mermaid, I'm like, oh, this is literally a kid's film. Mulan didn't feel like it was a kid's film. This Little Mermaid feels like it's for children. Yeah. Like you're not going to see us dissect this episode of Sesame Street. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I know who it's for. I get it. So there's no point in us watching it and doing like an in-depth review on it. I just, because I find it pointless.
Well, then like the same reason why we don't have to do an in-depth review of Super Mario Brothers. Have you seen it yet?
I did see it.
Yeah, right. And then you looked at the Rotten Tomato reviews. It's like, how could it be that bad?
Yeah.
How could 50% of movie critics say it's that bad when it's like, it's a fucking kids movie?
This one was, so people didn't understand this thing. I said this on the one critique that I had of it, right? I enjoyed Super Mario because it hit my nostalgia points like a motherfucker. It was also very funny. It was lighthearted and it was great. The problem that I had with it, because it was a kid's film, was the message towards the end.
Yeah.
It was the one thing that I was actually kind of laughing about, because the movie was about, so you have these two brothers who invested all their money and looking for their parents' approval, doing the right thing.
Right.
And their dad basically calls him a fucking loser.
Right.
And then he has to go ahead and save the world, get superpowers, and he goes, I guess I'm proud of you. Yeah. I'm like, that's kind of fucked up for kids.
Yeah.
That was the one flaw that I found in it as a kid's movie. I'm like, that message is kind of weird.
They didn't have to include Mario's family at all, right? Which was like kind of a weird like lesson to even tell. If you could have just cut it out entirely. But then the other like little message behind it was like Mario's entire character trait was not giving up, right? And that's the essence of playing Mario Brothers. Is like you fucking die all the time and you just have to start
Difficult
over.
game ever.
Yeah. It gets difficult, but you start over and over and over until you beat it.
Yeah, like Super Mario Bros. Like, what are we going to review? It's a kids movie, literally made for kids.
Yeah.
There are Disney animated, like once again, Mulan, that didn't seem like it was made for kids. It was made for an older audience.
And also, there was so much beneath the surface of Mulan being this Chinese propaganda film that I just had to expose it. Yeah.
You know, Little Mermaid too,
Yeah.
on top of the controversy of just, you know, the, what do you call it? Coastal racism,
Yeah.
right? On the east side of the world, that was a big issue. There was people that were upset that they were abolishing Caribbean slavery, that it wasn't a point that was being made in the Little Mermaid. Yeah. Dude, fucking look that shit up right now. It says, just put in Caribbean slavery and Little Mermaid. And it was the hottest topic. It was the next thing that Little Mermaid was being critiqued about. I'm like, bro, can this movie just breathe for a second? Can people just watch it first before you go ahead and start shitting on it?
Well, the top hit is from Fox News. Headline says Little Mermaid remake condemned for erasing slavery in the Caribbean.
Like, I'm sorry. In this kids film, where did you expect them to insert that part?
Yeah. Like, she just makes friends with this little slave girl and like wants to offer her voice to her. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Like, this movie has gotten, this goes to show that you can literally complain about anything. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, that was the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Like, okay, here's someone that's actually worthy of a complaint. Do you remember that Mel Gibson movie about the Revolutionary War?
Yeah.
The Patriot?
Yeah.
So it was like Braveheart, but America, right? In the beginning of the film, this guy, Mel Gibson character, has done very well for himself, right? He's got a lot of black folk on his property. And they come to ask him, like, the British revolutionaries. Sorry. The British come to them and they're like, hey, let's stand up against this revolt, right? Stay British. We'll set you guys free. Slavery is already illegal in Britain. And then the black characters go, we're free men here. We're here on our own willingly. This is about the founding of America. That movie erases slavery.
What the fuck?
It's supposed to be like this historical film.
No, sir. I'm happy being a slave.
Yeah. It was like that. Almost
That
it's
should
like,
have been a record scratch. That's hilarious.
But now we
That's
want to talk
terrible.
about the Little Mermaid being a problem. It's like, hey, man, like you guys are 20 years too late on that shit.
It's just
like they're not doing that. That's why they're not bringing it up.
I guarantee when they were doing this rewrite and then putting it into the Caribbean, they were never going to expect that to be one of the harshest critiques that they were going to receive, that they erased slavery.
So when they say erased, I mean, I didn't read the whole article. Is it because you don't see slaves?
I don't know. Like, once again, we didn't watch the film, so maybe
Right.
we're kind of casting stones when we really shouldn't be.
Right.
But it's a fucking mermaid.
Yeah.
It's a half fish, half person.
And then all of a sudden we go into the 12 years a slave story. And then we jump back into this mermaid story. It's like, where do you fit that?
With the talking crab, the talking fish, and then a talking bird. What are you talking about? I don't understand this. Like I think a film that Disney could really do really well, without making it corny, having the animals talk with their mouths, obviously, fucking Pocahontas.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think Pocahontas, because it's, John, what's his name? John
Smith.
John Smith was a real person. Pocahontas was a real person.
But the real story is tragic.
Yeah, let's not do that though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I want the colors of the wind.
No. Yeah, that's his thing. Because Pocahontas is like historical revision. It's like she was kidnapped and raped, 16-year-old girl.
Yeah, never mind, guys.
Yeah, they took her to England, forced her to have white babies,
I didn't know about
paraded
that
her
shit.
around as like this like exotic native and shit. She had a horrible life afterwards.
Okay, I thought the real story was that this girl could talk to deers and raccoons.
Yeah, and she had a beautiful singing voice.
Yeah, and she was hot as hell.
That's the thing. You can't remake that, I guess. I think they're skipping that and going straight to Hercules.
Okay, Hercules would be good.
Hercules would be good.
I love Greek mythology.
Yeah, and the style that they have it in, like, keep that up.
Yeah.
Keep that up.
That would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, but then, like, you can't force us to like shit, right? Okay, so the other thing is you have to remember what Disney was for us growing up, right? It was a girl's product.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah.
In the 90s, 80s, Disney was always a girl's product. It was always about the princesses and stuff, right?
Being saved by the man.
Yeah. So the boys, like, even if I watched the movie, you didn't really give a shit about these princes. Like, we did give a shit about, like, I guess Simba and Aladdin and then you got something like Hercules, right? Where they had to cater more to the boys of America, right? Then once they became this giant conglomerate, like, what did they do? They bought fucking Marvel and Star Wars to get the boys into the Disney conversation, right? Now, here's the thing. They didn't boy up the Disney product. They girled up the Marvel products. They girled up Star Wars, right? I think that's why you're getting a lot of that incel noise from the boys being like, oh, my girl female leads, like, this was my Star Wars, this was my superhero or whatever, right? And then, but at the same time, they're always like looking at the boys like, you don't like Little Mermaid because you don't like black people or you don't like women. And it's like, wait,
no, it's
what?
Little Mermaid.
Yeah, it's just not for us.
It wasn't like marketed towards us. It wasn't, nothing about that, you know, for me growing up made me want to watch Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
I only watched Little Mermaid because I had to. I was forced to because there was other people at the church that were girls that wanted to watch Little Mermaid. I didn't want to watch that shit.
Did you have the original VHS
with the
clamshell?
dicks?
With the dicks?
My cousin does.
Yeah, my cousin still has it at her.
Got
my
that
uncle's
OG
house.
fucking dick VHS,
Yeah.
man.
Dude,
There was
that
like
shit's wild.
an interesting conversation too when it came to like the idea of Little Mermaid, and you know people get upset at Disney because the conversation about that is that Disney is just going too woke.
Yeah.
Right. So when they are replacing certain said nostalgic 2D animation films with other ethnicities or races, like in this case for Little Mermaid, it's with Halle Bailey. They go, oh, you're just trying to be too woke. I had to sit there and think about this, right? Because in my mind, it's what the fuck's the problem? It's a mermaid. That shit's not even real.
Yeah.
This is not a historical fucking film.
Yeah.
It's not real. So I don't have an issue with it, right? And then I have to start reading what other people are thinking just to understand the fucking pandemonium. Like, what is this about? And it wasn't even about a nostalgia factor. A majority of the people that were writing their qualms with this whole situation wasn't about them messing with something that they loved growing up, which is what I thought it was originally. It was just, this is Disney being so fucking woke that they have to make everything about race.
Right. So they don't even care in the first place.
They don't care at all.
They just care that there's a black person.
They think it's like some kind of political move.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is or not. I just don't fucking care.
It seems like every like old ass culture has some sea creature mythology, right? I mean, like the reason why it's in the Caribbean is because the people of that area fucking migrated down to the Caribbean to do their pirate shit, you know? To do their lawlessness or whatever. And they brought all those mythologies down there.
And 100% sure. Now, I'm not sure. But if there are crabs in fucking Norway, I'm 100% sure they don't got a Jamaican accent.
Yeah.
Ariel! Ting. Like, I'm pretty sure that's not happening either. So I don't really agree with that either, right? One of the things that maybe this is, you know, and I was reading kind of what other people were saying who were like Black Americans or, you know, from wherever they're at. They said the one thing that they did wish was that Disney would start creating more Black stories that aren't changing the characters of already stories that were written for white people.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want that.
Yeah.
Like, let fucking white people have White Mermaid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give us our own story. Like, let's start making new Disney animated films with real Black stories and real Black characters, so we don't have to say that. We don't, because it's, and I was like, oh, I can kind of see that too.
Yeah.
You know, but that's not what people are saying. If I think if that was the story, I would understand a little more.
Yeah, I mean, if they gave us, like, here's the thing, like, the easiest thing that I could think of, like, when we talk about, let's talk specifics with Asian Americans, then let's talk Korean superheroes, right? We got Taegukgi.
The Gookie, yes.
Yeah, and Amadeus Cho, the Hulk, right? I can understand that it is much easier to tell a Korean story as the Hulk with the Han and the anger issues,
100%.
you know, than it is to tell the Taegukgi story, like the Captain Korea story.
Yeah.
Right? But in any case, would you want the next Iron Man to be Korean American?
No, I don't care.
No, like, what does that even do for us at all?
Yeah, what's this fucking Iron Man gonna do? Work at Samsung?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
He's the CEO of Samsung.
He's the CEO of Samsung. We are just as good as Apple.
Yeah.
Okay. They always take an idea from my phone and they put it in theirs for like 3 years later.
He said nobody buy the Sony.
I know.
And nobody buy Sony anymore.
Japanese phone is a stupid.
Wait for the Samsung PlayStation.
Their fucking arch nemesis is like LG and shit. Like, what the fuck? I don't need that. So I do kind of see that.
Yeah, we need our own stories.
Yeah,
right?
I would prefer that. And there is actually going to be a Disney animated film of an original Black character too. I think it's coming out in June.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that is what we need. Like, in my heart of hearts too, like, we are seeing so much representation for Asian Americans, right? But I'm saying that blanket, like, as a blanket statement, because I think I really mean Chinese American. There's so much Chinese American content.
Oh, 100%.
Right? But then they keep marketing Asian American because they want all of us to watch it because it's Asian people.
But that's what a lot of Asian Americans even do here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where, for example, somebody will say, well, how come you're not going to this? They kind of just lump us all into one without kind of recognizing our own personal identities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Korean, Chinese, Japanese, Indonesian, Hmong, Malaysian, Laos, all Thai, all distinctly different cultures.
Yeah.
Not even remotely fucking close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they all kind of just lump us all into one. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people, like, you wouldn't do that to European countries.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
So they even throw in, Pacific Islanders, Polynesian people.
And they have their own distinct culture. Indian people have their own distinct culture. And so we all just always get kind of tossed into one thing. I did get there's this comment that kind of got under my skin a little bit because this was an older Asian guy. And I couldn't believe like what he wrote because of how fucking dumb he is. Mm-hmm. He wrote this thing where I said on a podcast with Tim, I was like, I don't really need, AAPI month. Like, it's not my thing, right? Mm-hmm. I don't personally need it. And this guy was like, why do you always just say stupid shit just to say stupid shit? Like, why are you shitting on this Asian American thing? Like, I would have loved to have that when I was a kid. I was like, cool, because you were a self-hating Asian. I wasn't. I could say that I didn't need it growing up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was not the self-hating Asian, which is the reason why I started this channel. Not the reason why, but I was one of the few that started this channel and just was who I was.
Yeah, I wonder about that too. I mean, everyone has their own story, but I don't understand where people feel like I needed someone to tell me I should have been proud of myself for being Asian. I'm like, what?
And I actually,
why did you? That's general curiosity. That I don't understand in other humans. Why did you need someone else to tell you to be proud of who you are?
Why is that their responsibility?
Yeah.
And I sat and I thought about this, right? Like, why is it that this type of person always exists? Like now, like if I had this, I would have been proud. I think it's actually guilt. They feel guilty for denouncing their culture their language, their heritage. They're now 40 years old. They don't know their fucking language. They don't know where they fucking came from.
They wear their shoes in their house. They eat their ramen with a fork.
They talk back to their parents. Yeah. They call them mom and dad by their first names, Janine. Yeah. You know, so they denounce their culture so much with them when they were younger. They're projecting the stuff that they hated about themselves onto like somebody like me or somebody else.
Because you and I know some Gen X youngs who are almost pushing 50 who was like that in the 90s, who was just like, you know, needed to be accepted as damn near being white.
Yeah, 100%. And now they're doing the opposite of like, more representation. It's like, listen, chill. You know what I'm saying? And so when I don't share their sentiment and I said, actually, I'm not a part of your group. I grew up very fortunately, or maybe I was just fucking crazy enough I always carried my culture on my back, no matter where the fuck I went. Even when I was around people who weren't Korean or they weren't Asian, right? I was Korean first always. I never fucking hid my food. I only hid my food because my dad told me not to, because he told me it was going to stink. But I was the kid that brought kimchi fried rice to school.
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck what somebody else thought. So I don't share your sentiment. I'm not saying what you're feeling is wrong, but for you to tell me that I feel like AAPI month doesn't do anything for me because I always carried my ethnicity on my back, why are you mad at me for?
Right.
You should be proud of me.
You have other reasons to have a chip on your shoulder. Meanwhile, there are people out there who are using their Asian identity as the chip on their their shoulder. Like, and you gotta understand, like, you gotta let that go. You gotta let that go.
Also,
like, being Asian being your downfall, you gotta let that go.
Also, you know, I'm also a part of the Asian community. Why are you beating on me, fool?
Yeah.
What's up, bro? Why are you beating on me?
Oh, where are those people to fucking defend you?
I know. Like, you forget, I'm the original Gookie, fool.
Yeah.
Like, I was out here doing shit when you weren't saying shit at all. So as much as I never talk about the shit that I do, nobody ever gets to say anything about me about supporting Asian shit at all.
Yeah.
I am a fucking God founder in this space when it comes to that stuff.
You got your first viral start because you were shitting on a racist white girl.
Exactly. Like, when it was not cool to do this, I was doing it.
Yeah.
And I got shitted on. I got verbally bashed in these comments, and none of you said anything. None of you were creating content with me. None of you came to these shows with me. None of you came to these speeches. None of you.
But they said you were saying what I feel. Yeah. That's what they gave you props for, because you had the guts to say it.
Exactly. So the idea that now that this 40-year-old man, mid-30s, whatever, is coming out and saying, hey, and by the way, it's not a big deal. I'm going to be honest. I just couldn't figure out what this guy was saying.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, why do you have to say that you don't need AAPI month? Like, why can't I? I'm also a part of the Asian community. I can have my say in this.
Morgan Freeman says that there shouldn't be a Black History Month.
He's allowed to have that opinion.
People allow him to just like, all right, mister. Like, they disagree, but they're not gonna like, what are you gonna get out of him by asking that anyway? Like,
also too, just to kind of get people to understand my perspective on that. For me personally, I never looked at Asians as lesser than in this country.
Yeah.
I never did. I never shared your sentiment up with that.
And you never felt lesser than
I never felt it either, because, and my dad always put it to me in the best way possible. He goes, I when I was a kid, I remember when customers would come in and they would like verbally abuse my dad. It wasn't a lot of them. Like I said, I'm only talking about like the 2%, 5% of customers that would do this. And my dad, I specifically remember my dad. I'm like, why don't you say some shit, dude? Like, you should say something. He goes, why? I'm like, what do you mean, why? He goes, listen, when somebody says racist things to me and says terrible things about, like, and my dad's laughing and saying that they speak to me in Korean. He goes, do you ever see you always see a dog bark at the moon. Do you ever see the moon howl back at the dog? He goes, why? It's pointless. People who talk about me like that are beneath me. You know what I'm saying? Right. So he goes, I'm a business owner. I came to the country and I now own a business. It was hard. I didn't know the fucking language. I worked fucking 5-6 jobs and I somehow made it out here where I still barely speak English. And we're not rich, but we get by. But I did this with my own effort.
It's so funny. The analogy your dad gave you is such a Korean immigrant analogy because it's very similar to Tywin Lannister
Oh, is it?
about a lion not concerning himself with the opinions of a sheep.
Yeah.
But
Same
Korea doesn't have lions and sheep. Yeah, does the dog bark at the moon?
Does the chindoke fucking, you know? And so, like, for me, I never thought of like Asian people. I thought we killed it silently. Like, we did it by accumulating wealth by owning businesses and then sending kids to college. And our, a lot of Asian American kids, we even had the statistics for. We're the ones that go to college. We're the ones that go to Ivy League colleges, to UCs, to universities all across the nation.
Yeah.
So there was no point for me to be like, okay, Asian people aren't killing it. If you thought that, that's on you. That's not on me.
Yeah.
So that's my perspective of like, I never understood. I know I do understand is what I'm saying. I do understand why people enjoy and they like AAPI month. I don't need a whole month for that. That's my existence.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't resonate with me like that. That's all.
I mean, I live in K-Town. It's AAPI
All day, every day,
every
dude.
day, dog. So it's whatever.
But, for people out there who are in different parts, like, when you were out in Seattle, out in the boonies, it's for them. I get it. It's for you. But I should be allowed to say, hey, I don't really need it.
I think really it's for public schools.
Yeah, public
what
schools.
It's for. Yeah.
There's that kid out there that might need it. They want that recognition for it, right?
Yeah.
But I, in general, don't like identity politics.
Yeah.
And that kind of feeds into that. So I'm not, maybe that's why I'm not a big fan of it. There's probably a little more thinking that I have to do into it. But when people tell me, oh, it's AAPI month, it doesn't mean shit to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me happier. It doesn't make me sadder. I just go, oh, that's cool. That's it.
I mean, it was like at first, like when I was aware of AAPI, it was because, when you scroll through a Comcast menu.
Yeah.
There'll be like their own ads and shit, and they would just run K-pop. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is long ass time ago. It's like, it's AAPI month.
So I never heard of that.
Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, that's cool, right? And well, that was like 13 years ago. But look what's happened since Psy and since Big Bang, since 21, since every single K-pop artist that's just hit it big here in the States. It's like K-pop's just on the radio.
Yeah, it's just there.
It's like they don't have to put it on because it's a certain month,
And also too, sometimes I feel, and I wonder if other people feel this way too. I feel with a lot of Asian Americans, when they try to do Asian American social justice, we never try to figure out our own way of doing things. We always just try to piggyback off of like Black culture, white culture. It's like, how about we develop our own identity here?
Yeah.
Like they go, oh, Black Americans have this. We should have. No. Let Black Americans have what they have.
Yeah.
Right. And let's create what we have.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just feel a little confused about that type of stuff. I just don't also like people dictating how I should feel about my culture, like how I feel about it. It's so weird.
And they say that you're the one with the problem with internalized racism. It's because you don't like being Asian. That's why you don't support it. Like I've gotten that accusation. Like,
which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, so it was because of a Q&A. Like when I had lost 100 pounds, I just got a million questions all the time. And so I did this kind of Q&A thing. And then it was a joke, right? I wrote the pros and cons of losing weight. And I said that more white people, Latino people, and Black people hit on me. They come and talk to me now. Right. And then I got attacked by a bunch of Asian college students saying that I have internalized racism because I don't want to date Asian girls.
That's not what you said.
But that's not what I said, right? I was making the point that like, in this day and age, I'm getting hit on by more people of different races, not just Asians. That's something new to me because I went to high school and had a white blonde girl tell me in my face that I am the ugliest guy in school.
Yeah.
I've lived in that day and age when white people would just say, you have a flat face, you're a pancake face. I should kick you in the back of the head so your face comes out.
God damn.
They tell me that shit. Yeah, dude. Like I lived in that day and age where like I got fucking hate crimes. Right?
Yeah.
But then I'm having these fucking college kids tell me, all this woke shit, and they
It's
will
so funny
never
because-
experience what they're so scared of.
Well, this is what I'm saying. That's the weird part, right? They are inherently hating the stuff that they see in themselves. You are the self-hating Asian. For you to go out of your way and bring another Asian person down, and you have created this narrative that wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Also,
projection.
Yeah.
Projection.
And I also dislike sometimes, and you know what? I got to say this too, because I was once you, you know, like I really was. And you know, when you get older, hopefully you'll snap out of it too. And I empathize with you a lot because when you're younger, you get angry about fucking everything. And you want to complain about shit and speak for other people when you haven't experienced those experiences yourself. You're scared about things that has not happened to you. You live in this state of fear with experiences that you have not fucking experienced.
Right.
And so you don't really, you get to, but you don't get to say that to somebody who has experienced that type of stuff. You don't live in that fucking world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like for somebody to go out of the way and be like, well, you have internalized racism, blah, 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 and you don't know what it's like. It's like, no. You don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
You actually don't. You literally don't know what it's like.
Like the situations I've been in, like, and the responses I've had to make were always just split second. It was do or die, you know? And what I know is most of these kids would have no fucking clue of what to do in the situations I've been in. Like one time in school, so I told you that there were other Asian kids, but they're all adopted.
Yeah,
at my school, right? So they all have white parents. Well, there's this huge ruckus in the hallways, right? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And this dude is in this adopted Korean girl's face, right? And so I walk up like, oh, what the fuck? And I'm right there. And he goes, get the fuck out of my face, you fucking kook, right? And I froze. And she froze. And everyone's like, oh. And everyone's looking at me. And I froze. And he walked away. And I was so ashamed of myself.
It's
that day.
hard though.
Yeah. So the next time, same grade year too, because hey, who'd think this would happen twice in a year? Some motherfucker called me a gook again in that hallway, and I gave it to him. I fucking socked him in the face. I'd never done it before in my life. Socked him, and I made sure everybody saw. And now I had the reputation, don't call him a gook.
Yeah.
Right? Because I didn't do something before,
then.
they felt empowered to say it to me again. So I fucking socked them, and then I never was called that again, you know?
That was a thing too, when, you know, like when you stand up for yourself and you kind of make it hard for somebody to bully you, it kind of stops. Not all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I thought you were going to say was like the next year I saw him and I was like, that's racist.
Yeah.
And he's just like, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah. I've been thinking about that in the shower all my life.
Like a whole year later and shit.
Shit, like, you know, what are you going to do? That kid ended up being expelled anyway, and I never saw him again.
Yeah.
You know, but that's also because my friend who was there, like, he took a fucking lunch tray and broke it over his head. And
God
fucking
damn.
kicked the shit out of him while he was on the ground.
That's the thing too, man. When we look back at these situations, and you know, we've said it on this podcast a million times over, like you should never have to beat yourself up about that because it's never happened to you before for the first time, for the first time it happened.
Yeah.
So you don't know how to react. You don't know how your body's going to react. You don't know what you're going to do or say. And like I said, I told this story a million times over. I've said like, hey, if I see some bad shit go down and I see somebody in trouble, somebody's getting robbed, I'll probably step in. No, didn't. I watched it go down right in front of that Jamba Juice in South Pasadena, and I saw them ride away with the bike.
Yeah.
And I fucking 20 minutes later, hey,
Yeah.
you know, it's just, you don't know what's going on. You're always this like hero in your head.
Yeah.
And the reality is you big yourself up a lot more than you actually than the person that you actually are.
Yeah.
And I think that we do that in those uncomfortable situations, but at least like the second time around, you fucking did something about it.
But you got to understand, then there's like a million other Asian Americans. Then someone called them a chink. Someone said something on the road and they froze, and that person just rode off. And then they just have been living with that for years kind of shit, you know? I mean, like the shit that happened in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, that's right. I couldn't process it because I've never been called that before.
But I was I was ready because I have been my whole life.
Yeah.
Right. But I was holding your Sony. What is it? Was the A3?
Yeah.
I was holding that camera and I had a cigarette in the other hand. I throw shit when I'm angry.
Yeah.
I throw shit. It was like, so I threw the cigarette, but it was like, and he drove off and I was just like so fucking angry.
I remember I was like, what'd he say? You know what I mean? Because I couldn't, process it. I was like, what'd he say? And I think the part that diffused it for me the most was like the people that were next to us. And they're like, he's a fucking asshole. Don't worry about him.
Yeah.
And so because that wasn't the general consensus was that this was wrong and other people around like, that fucking guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
I felt a lot better.
Because they're like, hey, New Orleans ain't like that. Like, that guy's an asshole.
Yeah,
like,
they just didn't want us to walk away with the bad impression.
It's true because everyone else was fucking awesome to us.
Yeah, dude, they were all chill and they're just like, yeah, don't fucking worry. He's a fucking asshole. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, it was just really hard to process because I didn't really.
He was in a beat up truck too, so it's like, god damn it!
Like how he was punching up.
Yeah, the stereotype was just too hard. Like, god damn it!
I forgot about that shit, dude.
Yeah.
That was in New Orleans. That was fucking weird that day.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's why I understand why a lot of kids out there, they probably need the AAPI month because they don't grow up in an environment where, being Asian is something that's looked at as positive.
Yeah.
So, like I said,
it could be for those kids in like St. Louis, Kansas City.
Yeah, maybe they need it too. So,
yeah.
Okay, well, so when I look back at it, I understand why he's upset. I just think it's weird that he's upset that I have an opinion about my own Asianness and that I feel like I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you putting yourself into my fucking shoes? Like,
Right.
Express how you feel about it and then express that you needed it growing up. But because you, what we said before, I had to think about it. You are upset at me because you probably wish you did what I did when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Where I said stuff. Like, I spoke up about shit.
Fought back.
I fought back. You never
kept up
did.
your dignity.
Yeah,
like,
and
the
so
only one that can take my dignity away is myself.
Yeah, damn right.
You cannot make a clown out of me.
And so now for him, it's like instead of going ahead and saying the stuff that you wanted to say at those people, you're saying it to me now.
Yeah,
like
it's just projection.
Yeah, tough guy. Like you're saying it to your Asian brethren. You should have said it to that other person. You should have been the kid out there that you didn't erase your fucking culture. You learned the fucking language. You should have been that person, but you weren't. Don't put that on me. That's not my responsibility.
Yeah.
I'm gooky all the way, dude.
Yeah. We know who we are. We're secure in who we are. And we know all of our flaws too.
Yeah.
We don't hide that. That's the very idea too. Like, have you seen a lot since it is Pride Month. Like people ask, well then like, why do they have to be so proud? Right? Like there's no hetero Pride Month or whatever. Right?
Because we're the norm.
It's the norm.
Like
right?
What's the percentage? I don't know, like 90% of the population?
You've never been told to be ashamed of yourself for who you are, right? Black people historically have been told to be ashamed simply because of the color of their skin, and a lot of people for their cultures and their histories, which is why there are months and days to celebrate them. Because, with St. Patrick's Day, Irish people were shit on for a long time. Yeah. I feel like maybe with Italian Americans, they want to keep Columbus Day because it's all they got.
Yeah.
But the rest of the world is like, fuck Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
But I understand why you'd fight, but fuck him,
Yeah, I did read a lot about that online, especially because I'm on Twitter. People are complaining about Pride Month and stuff. Like I always hear that argument. We don't have a straight month. It's because we don't need it. It's like the majority of us out there. So we weren't like an oppressed group or anything like that. So for them to be able to kind of show their happiness out in public in the most extravagant way possible is the opposite side of the spectrum of them having to hide it their whole lives because they were afraid of getting beat up, having people saying that they were possessed by fucking demons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Doing exorcisms on them, going through sexual retraining. Like, come on, man. It's a pretty simple concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you may not like it, right? It makes you uncomfortable or some shit. Fine, that's whatever. But for you say you don't understand it, that's pretty fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Even
the way it's categorized too, with like when people say AAPI, they're still thinking East Asian people.
Yeah.
So, I've told you before about this rabbi friend of mine. He was like, because he's Jewish. He's like, hey man, I'm Asian too. No one says Jews are Asian, but like we are West Asia, And he's like, but nobody says that, but we consider us Eastern. Like, Judaism is an Eastern ideology. You know, Central Asia, it's all Arabic, it's all Muslim, it's India, it's all of that. Russia is Asia too.
I'm gonna see where you put your shoes first.
Yeah.
Like, where the fuck did you put your shoes?
Yeah.
If you took it out before you went in the house, maybe.
But you know, this is America, so it's just this kind of clownish representation of who we are. Is just, you know, this East Asian look. So that's another thing. Like with Native Americans, right? Should Pacific Islanders be lumped in with natives instead then? Or are they native Asians? Like, I don't know.
Well, this is where it gets all muddled, you know, and I think now we're so into, once again, I talked about identity politics. Like people are so focused on their identity and kind of basing their whole life and culture off of this identity. It's weird to me.
That's another thing. Isn't identity politics putting yourself in a box?
Yeah. Straight
categorizing yourself.
Yeah.
You want a checkbox. That's why you want to check something that represents you on a government piece of paper.
Yeah. Like, this is who I am because of this. There are things that we could pay homage to that we love, but there are more things outside of just what you look like, the color of your skin. I mean, I thought that's like the Martin Luther King tip. Like, I thought that's what we were going for.
Yeah.
But now people actually, this box that I feel like Martin Luther King and a lot of people, you know, let's say even Malcolm X, like we were trying to push ourselves out of this box. People are like, no. I feel more comfortable if you categorize me. Like, don't look at my ability. Don't look at my talents. Don't look at the things that I do. See what the color of my skin is first before you talk to me. And I'm like, this seems a little backwards.
So backwards. Ass backwards, dude. Like, I can't stand it. I mean, we said it before, like, because of what woke has become, right? What was woke originally? Right? It was the idea of recognizing the struggles of the oppressed people in our country. And Bill Burr made that joke, but very poignant, real fact that sex of white people, whether they be white gay people or white women, stepped in the front of the line of oppression. And just took over what woke meant. And now it became more first world problems.
Anyways, guys, that wraps up this episode of the Genius Brain podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. You can catch Genius Brain every Sundays at 12 p.m. and you can catch Ed at Ed Park VP and Bible study at Momo's. See you all next time. Peace.